This tiny little thing is actually an all-SSD NAS. And even more amazingly, it isn't any more expensive than a hard drive-based NAS, at least for the system itself anyway. This is the AIFFRO, however you want to call it, K100, a quad bay all-flash NAS, and it's so close to being amazing. Let me walk you through this tiny little thing, and then we'll get it set up and test it out. First off, a tour, although it's pretty small, so it's going to be a pretty short tour. The front has a power button, the top has their logo, the sides have vent holes, and the back has the I/O and another vent. I/O is a 2.5 gig Ethernet port, 2 USB-C ports, 2 Type A's, HDMI, and a USB-C PD in. The base is pretty plain, although this is where we find the first poor design choice. This is a bare bones machine, as in it doesn't come with all of the drives you'll need to actually, be storing your data on, so you need to get in there. You would think that this might be a toolless slide-off panel, or at least if it is screwed in, the screws might be open and obvious so that you can easily access the thing, because you absolutely have to do that to use this thing, right? Yeah, no. The 4 screws that hold this in are hidden under the 4 double-sided taped rubber feet. Like, come on guys. Inside, under the heat spreader plates, you will find the 4 M.2 2280 drive slots, a 256 gig M.2 SSD, and the board itself. If I pop the board out, you will see the fan and heatsink hiding the CPU and RAM. Specs-wise, what we've got here is a quad-core Intel N100, which, yes, is just 4 first-gen E-cores or efficiency cores on their own, which have a just 6-watt TDP and a total of 9 PCI Gen 3 lanes. You might be doing the maths in your head here and thinking, 4 M.2 slots, which normally carry 4 lanes each, adds up to 16, which is quite a few more than the CPU has available. And yeah, you'd be right. These M.2 slots actually only have 2 lanes each at PCI Gen 3 speeds, so a max of 1.5 gigabytes per second per drive is all you'll get here. Also, while this CPU does support up to 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, this bad boy comes with a paltry 8 gigabytes. You might also be wondering why this comes with one of the M.2 slots populated with a pretty naff 256 gig SSD, and the answer to that is they forgot to put any onboard storage on the board itself. So if you want to be able to install an operating system, at least one that doesn't run from a USB stick like Unraid, you'll need to lose one of your M.2 slots to put a boot drive in. Again, guys, come on! If I'm buying a 4-bay NAS, I don't expect to have to use one of those bays as a boot drive. Also, if you look under the side of the heat spreader, you'll notice a nice big pad where the 256 drive is mounted, but not where any of the other 3 slots are. Amazingly, they don't include any spare thermal pads in the box, so you'll want to pick some up if you do have these and cut them to size if you end up, buying one of these drives. Again, come on guys. One thing that actually is pretty cool is the power brick. This is a USB PD supply with only a US flip plug on the inputs and a USB Type-C port on the outputs, but it's cool because it's a 65 watt unit that's freaking tiny, and in part also because it supports not only USB power delivery, but PPS, or programmable power supply, meaning if you get the right breakout board, you can actually use this as a variable power supply all on its own. That's cool. Not relevant to this board and this, unit, but cool nonetheless. Generally though, if all you get in the box is the USB power brick, a C2C cable, and the system, nothing else. For the sake of testing this out here, I stuck 2 2TB drives in there. They weren't the exact same make or model, which isn't exactly recommended, but they're close enough, so I'll give it a try. Despite the product page making it clear that this is a no OS pre-installed system, well, this had an operating system pre-installed. Weirdly, it wasn't able to connect to my network, I think because the OS doesn't have a built-in driver for the Realtek 2.5GB NIC that's on this board, making it entirely useless. I also don't know exactly what OS it was. It had links to codcloud.com. It called itself TeamOS, which isn't a product CodCloud seemed to offer. Anyway, since it was entirely unreachable over the network and the system wasn't meant to have anything on it anyway, I wiped it and installed TrueNAS Scale. I set up an array, created an SMB share, and copied some files. I don't have 2.5GB equipment here, only 1 or 10GB, so the max that I could transfer this to was 100 megabytes per second, but I can say that it did handle that fine enough. I kept an eye on drive temperatures too, but remarkably, despite no thermal pads keeping them cool, they actually didn't change that much, likely thanks to the system, even with 2.5GB networking, being wholly unable to write to them with any amount of heat-inducing performance. They stayed at very reasonable temperatures, so at least there's that. I can also say that the CPU fan was beautifully quiet, and the fact that there aren't 4 hard drives whirring away in here is pretty nice too. It's also considerably lower power. I mean, the maximum that it can draw is 65 watts, and with the CPU capped at 6 watts and, maybe a couple of watts per drive when reading or writing, there really isn't much to be sucking on power here. Compare that to hard drives, which are more like 10 to 20 watts each, and that's a pretty decent difference. I left this hooked up to a smart plug overnight, and it idles at something like 2 to 3 watts, which is incredible. The big problem with this thing is really the RAM. Only having 8GB of RAM, especially if you pick TrueNAS and use ZFS, which is what I recommend for a NAS, means that you have very little available for any services. For a 2TB mirrored array like this, it's certainly livable, but if you opted for more like 4TB drives instead, well, that'd be a bit of a pain point for sure, and you would struggle to run anything like Plex or Jellyfin 2. You can also forget running anything like Ollama or really anything memory intensive. With the maximum of 16GB that's supported by the CPU, that would definitely be better and much more usable, and considering this is selling for just £227, I think that it costing a few quid more for double the RAM would be well worth it. There were lots of small design choices that take this from a really promising and cool idea to something pretty underwhelming and unsuitable for the task. No toolless access for the drive bays, no onboard storage, so you need to take up one of the drive bays for a boot drive, and just too little RAM. If they could solve those problems, this would be an incredible bit of kit. 2.5GB Ethernet is more than enough for home use, and considering 2TB M.2 drives can be had for about the same price as 4TB hard drives, well, you'd be looking at a considerably faster, smaller, quieter, and more efficient solution. Sure, for half the capacity, but for home gamers, 6TB of usable space is likely plenty, all for a pretty reasonable price tag. This could be so cool, and I really wish that it lived up to the hype. It is worth noting, thanks to the HDMI port, that in theory you could also just use this as a little HTPC with some NAS storage capabilities in the background, and that is a decent idea. But again, just 8GB of RAM makes that a difficult proposition. Any amount of actual HTPC use alongside any network storage stuff you might want to do in the background, you'd start to struggle. Especially with ZFS, as I mentioned, you're using up at least half of the RAM basically constantly, and that doesn't leave you much room for an operating system to use as an HTPC on your TV or, as a media center. So again, more RAM, more toolless, and no need for a boot drive SSD in there, and this would be a really cool bit of kit. Of course, those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think of the K100 all-SSD NAS? Is this something you're interested in? Would you prefer more RAM? Let me, and hopefully them, know in the comments down below. If you are interested in it, I will leave a link to it in the description down below. If you want to see more videos like this one, you can hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification icon. Check out plenty of other videos in the end cards, including me building my own NASs, if you're interested. And yeah, if you want to check out my own hardware, the open source response times and latency testing tools, head to osrtt.com. That's linked in the description. And otherwise, yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.